Welcome to the second video of the 2017 BIE program on writing needs statements. As part of the program, we create a needs database for the National Institutes of Health. In the previous video, you got a taste of what it's like to gather observations, and the next step is to write the needs statements derived from these observations. As bioengineers, it can be tempting to jump straight to concept generation and prototyping, but we need to make sure that these solutions are actually addressing a real clinical need. This is why needs statements are so important. Needs statements are there to guide us through the whole biodesign process. Let's first walk through a non-medical example to illustrate what we mean. Here's a Berkeley student carrying a heavy backpack with all of his notes and textbooks. You also happen to be walking to your next class, and you make a few observations. The heavy backpack seems to be painful on his shoulders, neck, and back, causing him to hunch over. Then you see him stop to grab his water bottle, and then him realize that his water had spilled all over his bag, ruining his laptop. Based on only these few observations, we can create several needs statements. Remember, not all observations may lead to a needs statement. In this example, let's focus on the following problems that need to be addressed: stress and pain on the user, as well as the damaged contents of his backpack. Now, what makes a good needs statement? Here are the 5 guidelines: what, not how, specificity, using positive wording, focusing on the attribute of the product, and avoiding the words must and should. Let's explore these guidelines more in depth. The first one is what, not how. You don't want to incorporate a solution into the needs statement. This way, you aren't restricted to a particular solution during concept generation. For example, you could start with the statement, the backpack is lightweight. There's a very minor problem with this statement. Using the word backpack suggests that the solution to the user's problem has to be a backpack. However, the solution can be any carrying device. Therefore, a better statement would be, the carrying device is lightweight. Next is specificity. The first guideline focuses on keeping the statement broad enough to allow for creative freedom. But you also want to make sure that you express the need as specifically as the raw data. Another example you could start off with is, the carrying device makes the user's life better. Of course you want your design to improve the user's life. But what makes someone's life better? This needs statement is too broad and would be hard to work with. Instead, focus on one element of improving the user's quality of life. For example, you could say, the carrying device supports proper posture. This needs statement will lead to a more manageable project. Next is positive phrasing. It's easier to design something that does something rather than something that does not do something. Accordingly, you want to phrase needs statements in a positive way and avoid the word not. One example would be, the carrying device is not painful, but something easier to design is, the carrying device is comfortable. The fourth guideline is attribute of the product. This is meant to help you focus on the product you are designing rather than something else. A bad example would be, the laptop is protected. You have to remember that you're trying to design a carrying device, not a laptop, so the subject of the needs statement should reflect that. A better example would be, the carrying device protects laptops from damage during transport. The final guideline is to avoid the words must and should. This one's easy, just don't use the words must or should in your statements. Next, let's apply this to a clinic visit example. When we visited San Francisco General Hospital's Ward 86, doctors brought up that it's currently not well understood how latent TB, or tuberculosis, progresses to active TB. People with latent TB cannot spread the infection to other people. However, 5 to 10% of people with latent TB eventually develop active TB, which is highly infectious. The basic understanding is that active TB develops when TB bacteria overcome the defenses of the immune system. Due to the infectious and dangerous nature of active TB, a better understanding of the risk factors for developing active TB would prove extremely useful. The BIE cohort came up with the following needs statement: a point-of-care device to detect patients that are more susceptible to switch from latent TB to active TB. Let's check whether this meets all of the guidelines. The first two can be looked at together: what, not how, and specificity. This way, you're just making sure that you have a good balance of specificity and allowing for creative freedom. Although a point-of-care device is fairly specific, this is only as specific as what the users were asking for in our interviews. Next, it uses positive wording. Fourth, it focuses on an attribute of the product. So the subject of this sentence is the device, not patients, not TB, and not doctors. Finally, it avoids the words must and should. By just remembering these 5 guidelines, you can write a great needs statement. We hope that you learned a little bit more about the design process. Thanks for watching.